This is music, and this is Maid of Steel, episode 6. Welcome to the 6th episode of Maid of Steel, a series of videos where I go through my collection of Band-Maid releases, physical and digital, and I just talk about them, so these are not reaction videos. Today I'm going to have a look at Conqueror, which has been described as their most controversial and divisive album to date. So that's going to be fun. First though, my recommendation. Today I'm going to recommend 2 releases by the same artist. Oiran Extended Edition and Revive, both by Nemophila. Nemophila is a Japanese all-ladies modern metal band. All the members are or have been involved in other bands, so we're dealing with really experienced musicians and a very high level of musicianship. One of their guitarists is in Marriage Blood. The other guitarist is, or at least has been, in Risa X. Their drummer has been in a whole bunch of different projects, and their vocalist used to be in Lipstick, and I think their bass player was in some other band too, which I don't remember the name of that band. We're dealing with a modern metal, ranging from melodic power metal elements up to sub-extreme metal elements. So you got some power metal songs, you have some ballads, you have some groove metal songs, you have some kind of like modern thrash metal with metalcore elements songs. Across the board, really good stuff here. My favorite part of the world of Nemophila is pretty much everything, but if I have to highlight something, it's gotta be Mayu's vocals. She's an amazing vocalist. She has just a voice that just clicks with me for some reason. She can do harsh screams and growls. She can do crooning. She can do epic sort of singing, and she can do rock and roll belting. So, you know, I can vouch for these. These are great musicians, great band. I think most fans of Band-Maid are familiar with Nemophila because there's some kind of like, you know, they frequent the same universe of the rock music genre. You know what I mean? They're part of the same corner or world of rock music. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, let's get to it. Let's get to the most controversial album by Band-Maid to date, Conqueror. Let's just have a look at the sort of more collector's nerdery aspect of it. So it comes with this really fat booklet. This is the cover artwork. There's a whole bunch of different versions out there. This is the JPU Records version. So there's like a version for each band member. And Miku here actually has 2 versions. She has one with her tongue sticking out as well. And some of them are special editions and some of them are not special editions. I don't really know. I think the one with Saiki, their vocalist, is a special edition thing. And the one where Miku has her tongue out is a special edition thing. But that's about it, and I'm probably wrong about that too. This is what the back of the booklet looks like. I don't know if this is the same with all versions. The booklet itself just comes with lyrics in Japanese and then transliterations in Romanji, and then there's a section here with English translations as well. At least in the JPU Records version. I don't know about the other versions. The disc looks pretty cool, I think. Very simple, very nice. And then you have this here that also looks pretty nice, and then the back looks like this. And I don't know if, you know, all these other aspects of this release look the same in all the different versions, because I only have this one here, right? And I'm happy with this one. So how does this one compare to to World Domination. Now, I concluded that World Domination was pretty much if not a metal album, then a borderline metal, very heavy hard rock album. Lots of groove, a very heavy guitar tone, some thrash metal elements even, some aggressive drumming. Just, I think it's a metal album, but that's just my opinion. This one, they go in a completely different direction. You can still hear that it's Band-Maid. They still have the trademark features. But here they explore pop music much more. They explore pop rock, soft rock, and so on and so forth. The guitar tone is not heavy at all here. It's distorted, but it's not heavy. Lots of ballad elements. So completely different direction. And I get it. This is a band. They want to constantly improve as musicians. So obviously they want to explore some softer sides of rock music. I totally get that. But I think this is the direction they take on this album. That's probably why it's considered controversial, because maybe some of the fans that really liked the hard rocking stuff, maybe they disliked this. And I think that's fair. My opinion is, as a fan, you just gotta respect that artists want to change things up. They want to try something new. And just remember that when they do that, it's not a personal attack on you. They just want to try something else. On the other hand, artists have to just accept that fans, if they don't like their new music, fans won't buy it. So my take is always, instead of maybe complaining about bands taking different directions, at least instead of complaining about it all the time, just don't listen to it. Go back and listen to their old stuff that you like, or maybe if they release some subsequent stuff you like, listen to that. But that's just my opinion. So overall, I would not think that it would be fair to call this a pop rock album, but I don't think it's like an all-out hard rock album either. I would probably consider it melodic hard rock. And it's not my go-to Band-Maid album if I feel like listening to Band-Maid, but that doesn't mean that I dislike it. So before we get into that discussion, let's just have a look at the songs one by one. And right off the bat, they start out with a song called Page, which is a slow pop rock, soft rock, ballady kind of song. So, I mean, there you go. That's the message, the first song. This is going to be different. This is going to be softer. I think it's a catchy song, for sure. I like there's some really nice vocal harmonies going on. You got some electronic drum effects every now and then, and that actually applies to the entire album. And I think this might put some Akane fans off, for sure. I think it's a very well written pop rock song. There's a nice little guitar solo in it too. So yeah, it's soft, but I don't have a problem with it. It's followed by Glory, and they made a music video for Glory too. That's a hard rocker, and it has a kind of funky verse. The first verse in particular is kind of funky. It has the trademark big chorus that Band-Maid fans love, so that is there. Very dynamic drums here, and the bridge is kind of melancholic, I would say. But in the bridge, there's a nice vocal melody, and I don't have a problem with the bridge being melancholic too. So Glory is more of a melodic hard rock song, I would say. It's followed by a song called Liberal, which is an interesting title there. It's an upbeat song. It's certainly a rocker. I really like sort of the main riff, which is like inherently melodic. I always appreciate that. The drumming is dynamic here as well. It is Akane after all. And it's just it's a pretty cool song, I think. The verse is also kind of funky. So that's Liberal. I like that song. I don't have a problem with it. Melodic hard rocker, I would say. It's followed by another song that had a music video made for it called Endless Story. Now this is quite melancholic too. I would categorize this as a pop rock / emo kind of song. It has some nice vocal harmonies and some pretty cool bass work. And this is gonna be like a theme for the entire album. Pretty cool bass work, I think. The Endless Story, again, I don't mind it. I enjoy listening to it for sure. It's followed by Mirage. This is another soft rock kind of song, but it does have kind of a funky vibe to it. Again, nice catchy vocal melodies and a cool guitar solo. So, yeah, that's fine. At the Drop of a Hat, now that's a soft ballad, I would say. Very melancholic. Has like acoustic guitars as well in the verse. But I don't have a problem with the acoustic guitars, to be honest. Not a problem there at all. I do like the rhythm guitar work in the bass when you got the electric guitar kicking in. I really like that, and this is going to be another theme throughout the album. And there's also like they do some like guitar work in the softer parts of that, and again, I'm not saying that they were inspired by this or anything. That's just my frame of reference. It kind of reminds me a bit of some of the softer, not all out cheesy ballads, but some of the softer, more melancholic, mellow parts that Genesis would do in their sort of like the Phil Collins fronted 80s, early 90s era, when they did more like commercial rock and pop rock and things like that. And I actually kind of really like that era of Genesis. I like the progressive rock era too, of course, and Peter Gabriel and all that stuff. That's great. I like pretty much anything Genesis did. So that just reminds me a bit of that. I'm not saying they were inspired by Genesis or anything. That's just my frame of reference. Yeah, At the Drop of a Hat, a pretty nice soft ballad. I think it sounds almost epic, actually. It's almost like an epic ballad. It's followed by Wonderland. That's another slow song. It's got some nice guitar melodies going on in it. I like the verses actually has a nice sort of inbuilt dynamic to it, which I appreciate. There are some heavy parts to it, which I of course appreciate. And Saiki hits some pretty cool high notes here, and I noticed maybe it's because of the surgery she had to go through. There's a bit more variation in her singing style. She does some more extreme, not growling, but hits some higher notes and uses some more vocal techniques and vibratos and things like that. She hits some high notes in this song for sure, and it actually sounds very awesome. So that's Wonderland. It's followed by Azure, which is a upbeat, melodic, hard rock song again. Has some pretty cool rhythm guitar stuff going on, and actually rhythm guitar and bass, they kind of like work together very well in this song. And it has your Band-Maid big chorus with the awesome catchy vocal melodies. So a nice little song there. It's followed by a song called Dilemma. It opens out almost power metal like. Certainly the rhythm guitar. It has some lead guitar on top of it, lead guitar melody that's not really power metal, but the entire sort of impression I get is that it's almost a power metal opening. But then it sort of morphs into a more cool kind of song. It has some pretty cool vocal melodies going on in the verse, I would say. There's a nice little guitar solo and some cool bass work going on in that song. So it's a pretty cool song. It's followed by Bubble, which is another song with a music video. It's a very groovy song, but not super heavy. But quite groovy. There's some really cool drumming going on. Again, some cool kind of funk-ish bass work. Some catchy vocal melodies. And there's like a spoken word section in the bridge as well. And I think this song, Bubble, probably caught a lot of new fans because it's more commercial, it's more accessible, but it's still kind of groovy and hard rocking. Pretty cool song. Followed by the Dragon Cries. Now, this song has lyrics written by Tom Kenny, and the producer Tony Visconti was involved as well. I think he did some production work on the vocals in his studio in the States, and I think Saiki and Miku actually flew to the States and recorded some vocals in his studio, so that's pretty cool. It's just a cool song. I think it's a groovy 70s rock inspired song, and when I listen to it, I just get, this is a cool song, catchy and cool. And the same thing applies to the next song, Flying High. It's also a hard rocking song. It's also groovy. It's also cool. There's some pretty nice vocal melodies as well here, and vocal harmonies. So you got like two very cool songs in a row. In the Dragon Cries and Flying High. Did I say the Demon Cries before? It's the Dragon Cries. That's because I have this one up here by a band called Demon, probably, so it's haunting me subconsciously. Anyways, the next one is called Catharsis. That's a straight up melodic hard rocker, I would say. Has a nice dynamic verse again, another big chorus. Lots of cool little rhythm guitar details. Again, that's a theme throughout the entire album, but it's especially prevalent in this song. And it has kind of like a fun, kind of funky-ish bridge to it. So Catharsis, a pretty cool song. Followed by Blooming, which is, I don't think it's unfair to call this a pop-punk song. It's up-tempo, it's upbeat. It has some cool rhythm guitar again in the verse. And some nice sort of inherently melodic guitar riffage as well. That's really cool. I actually really like that. Although it doesn't sound exactly like it, it takes me a bit back to the Price of Pride song from way back. Doesn't have the pinch harmonics, but it's kind of like has this sort of inherent melancholic melody to it anyways. So that's a pretty cool song. I like it. And it's followed by Rinne or Reincarnation. That's the heaviest song on the album, and it's the last song. So they kind of like explore lots of different pop elements and ballady elements, and and then they finish the song off on the heaviest song on the album, and one of the heaviest riffs they made so far. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it is a middle finger maybe to some of the critics. Some of my viewers have pointed this out in comments on previous videos. So it's the heaviest song on the album for sure. It has some really heavy riffs and some metallic riffs as well going on. It has a big catchy chorus. So that's Rinne. So yeah, it's an album. They explore the softer sides, and it has been characterized by some people as this is just a pop album. There are lots of pop elements in this album, to be sure, and there are more pop elements in the album that I normally would appeal to me. And it is not my go-to album, but when you actually listen to it, song for song for song for song a couple of times, it's actually unfair to call it a pop album. It's unfair to call it a pop rock album. I would go with melodic hard rock. There are still lots of rock elements in the album. I think it's a cool album. The highlights to me are the vocal melodies and the vocal performance by Saiki. She hits some insane notes, and she sounds great on this album. And actually, there are also nice vocal melodies throughout the album. So that's one highlight. Another highlight is the bass, and the bass is really prominent here. Maybe it's because the guitar tone is a bit softer. The bass is a bit more prominent. So Misa does some really cool funky stuff and just nice cool bass work. I really appreciate that for sure. The drumming, as always, is cool. It's a bit more restrained because they explore the softer side of rock music. Akane can't just go nuts and kick the shit out of her drum set. So I think some drum kits were saved in this recording of this album. But she does some other really cool things, like small details, some hi-hat work, and she does actually beat the shit out of her cymbals. She does a lot of really noisy cymbal stuff whenever they go into some more hard-hitting stuff. So as usual, Akane, a highlight. And I really like the rhythm guitar and bass details. There are lots of cool little rhythm guitar details, kind of like just in the background, some riffs, some rhythmic parts, some syncopation, some kind of like melodies inside the riff, some harmonies. It's really cool if you listen to the album and try to focus on the details. I think you will have a new appreciation for the brilliance of the rhythm guitar work and bass work on this album. That's one of the things I kind of learned in listening to this album again and again and again and preparing for this video, that I started to really appreciate the subtle rhythm guitar details. I really like that. So there are lots of pop elements. It is considered the controversial album of Band-Maid. So what is my overall assessment of the album? Now, I know the internet can only think in black and white, so you would expect me to either love it or either hate it. I think I might have to break the internet here. I don't hate it. I don't dislike it. I don't love it. It's not my go-to album, but I like it. I'm fine with it. There are lots of details in this album I really like. There are other details that don't appeal to me. So I appreciate this album. It's a good album. It's not bad music. I appreciate how they explore the softer sides of rock music. In doing so, they do integrate some things into the style in this album that don't appeal to me. I don't take that as a personal attack. I'm fine with it. So yeah, I like this album. It's not my go-to album. It's not my favorite album by Band-Maid. It's not the album I reach for normally. And when I listen to it under normal circumstances, I do kind of skip, some songs and so on and so forth. But yeah, I think it's good music. And I think, as far as I understand, it was a massive commercial hit because they retained a lot of hard rock elements, but they went into pop territory as well. And it was like melodic hard rock. I think they drew in a lot of new fans. I mean, it's not a coincidence that they have like 5 music videos, and people have said that it's just hit upon hit upon hit. So, yeah, I like the album. I don't hate it. I don't love it. So that's my take on Conqueror. If you don't like my take on it, it's sink or swim. Shut up. Fans will get this joke. Anyways, next time we're going to have a look at Unseen World, where they take a U-turn again stylistically. For now, thanks for watching.